Hello, just a quick one before the video starts properly. Just to announce that every video from this video onwards for the season 1920 is going to be supporting the Haven charity in Wolverhampton. So every video of mine that gets 100 likes, or for every 100 likes, so for example if it gets 200 likes, then £2 will be donated to a charity. But every 100 likes equals a £1 donation to the Haven charity in Wolverhampton. If you haven't heard of them before, if you don't know what they do, I'll put a link in the description and you can check it out and perhaps donate some of your own money and support them in your own little way. But that's going to be my sort of part of giving back to the community this season. So if you wouldn't mind just smashing a like just to support both the channel and the charity, that would be much appreciated. Thank you very much. Hello everybody and welcome back to the Old Gold and Black for this update video. I think it's been about a week since the last one and quite a lot has happened this week, but I've had a busy week in work, so unable to give you an update. But as you can see, I've got the new shirt, and just to give some of you who perhaps live abroad who might have to wait for your shirt to come, a little bit of context as to the colour, because there's been a lot of talk about how the colour has changed over the last 3 seasons now. This is the shirt from the promotions winning season back in 2018 or 17-18. I don't have the last season shirt to compare for you, but you can see that there is it's sort of coming back towards this colour from the very, very pale old gold that we had last year. But so that's the first bit of news. The second bit of news is that Laurie Dalrymple has left the club. He's been sacked by all accounts due to his deteriorating relationship with the board. His position was reported by the Express and Star to be untenable, and he's therefore been placed on gardening leave and he's been sacked. Now that is the line that's coming from the club. There have been rumours on Twitter that perhaps he applied for a job elsewhere or started to talk to other clubs about positions elsewhere. But I do believe that that's what's happened with it. And I do believe the club in their story, in that his position has become untenable and that he's had to move on. I think Fosun have got a very clear strategy and clear plan for the club. And if you remember back to 2016, 3 years ago when they first took over, they were keen to keep Jez Moxey for the first 2 or 3 months, but then he couldn't keep up or didn't believe in the ideals, or the sacking of Kenny Jackett and things like that. So I think that they wanted somebody in that role as who had been at the club previously to sort of oversee a transitional period. And I think because of how quick things have gone over the 3 seasons they've been in charge, that that Laurie Dalrymple was a perfect man to fit that role. And because of his success and his popularity in their ultimately in the promotion to the Premier League and through last season, I think they decided to keep him. But I think now he's sort of reached his ceiling as a managing director at Wolves, and I think either Fosun believe that Jeff Shi can do some of his job, which is what's happening at the moment, or that they can find some international superstar managing director to come in and take Wolves to the next level. Because it was only 2 or 3 months ago that Jeff Shi was being interviewed and talking about Fosun never selling Wolves and it becoming one of their prize assets and something basically that's going to be a hobby for some of them. Jeff Shi is a Chinese man who loves football, now has the opportunity to play real life Football Manager, and they enjoy it, I think, and they're not going to just pull the plug, as people on Twitter have been suggesting they might. It's a multi-million-pound asset for them, and the increase in cost, the increase of the price of Wolves since they bought the club, it must have increased by 10 times. You can say that they bought it for 30 to 40 million back in 2016. You could argue now that with the assets that they've got on the pitch and the enhancements they've made to Compton and things like that, you could argue that it's upwards of 300 to 400 million now. And that's only going to increase with the stadium being built. I think people have read into it too much, saying that Laurie Dalrymple was keen for Wolves to stay at Molineux and Fosun were a bit dismissive of that, but there are plans in place. It wasn't just Laurie Dalrymple's little sketches that were there. They're going to be there. They are the whole Wolves board of provided things towards that. And it is, I imagine Wolves will still stay at Molineux. I think that's a key thing that we have to hold on to. And it mustn't be overlooked the work that Dalrymple did. I think he did a fantastic job in connecting the fans and the club. Again, a lot has been said about Jez Moxey over the last couple of days and what a disaster it was. But you cannot overlook the work that him and Steve Morgan did to balance the books and to keep Wolves in a healthy position to be able to sell to Fosun. They may not, Fosun are a multi-million-pound conglomerate of various different investors, and Steve Morgan is one man who, yes, has got a lot of money in terms of property, but was one man ultimately and could not take Wolves to the successes that Fosun will. So it's a shame about Dalrymple, but I haven't lost any sleep about it. I'm not too worried because the club is still going to move in the same direction. It's just a shame that we're now not the family club that we once were a couple of years ago, but that club wasn't successful. And unfortunately, Fosun's ambition is for Wolves to be the most successful team in England, and they're not going to do that by holding on to people and for sentimental reasons. We've seen that as well with players, which I'll come on to in a minute. And I don't think it's anything to be particularly worried about at all. So in terms of the players, we've seen Costa and Cavaliero now both leave. And I think people are starting to worry that the senior squad that was so small last year is getting increasingly smaller. The squad that's going to China, of course, without Matt Doherty and Raul Jimenez, is getting smaller. The Europa League fixture against probably Crusaders, who won 2-0 against B36 the other day, that's getting closer. But again, there's no need to worry. There is going to be an announcement in China where they reveal the away kit, I would assume, at the Megastore. And I would not be surprised if there is one, maybe two players who are there to reveal the kit. We've seen that Wolves do their business late in the July. 25th of July, João Moutinho was announced in 2018. 2017, the same day, Diogo Jota was announced. So it would not surprise me if next week we see 2 or 3 signings come in. Wolves are not going to stand still. We've got a very, very good squad anyway. If you think about the players that played last year, we were very fortunate with injuries, but you're not fortunate with injuries 2 seasons in a row. They're obviously doing things very, very well at Compton to keep people in good condition, and I imagine that will be the same this year. We may be unlucky and somebody might tear their ACL or something like that, but we're not going to have small soft tissue injuries like we always had under previous regimes. So I'm not worried about that. What I am worried about is a couple of the younger players coming in and perhaps being the cover for the first team players. I think there are a couple of areas that we're weak in at the moment, and if we are to sign players in the next week, I hope that it's a right wing back, a striker, and a centre back. But if we don't, we've got Traore and Doherty who can play right back. We've got plenty of good centre backs. We've seen that over the last 2 years, and we've got Jimenez and Jota up front with, perhaps for the first bit of the season, supplemented by younger players. But we do need strikers and we do need depth in those areas, and especially with Costa and Cavaliero going now, you would assume that Wolves have got somebody lined up to come in. There's no way that they would let both of them go without anybody lined up to come in. But again, I'm not worried. I trust Fosun and I trust Nuno. I'm sure that in a month's time, that people on Twitter are arguing at the moment, people are calling each other pant wetters if they're panicking or too confident if they're not. But I don't think there's anything to worry about at the moment. We're in a very strong position. I think perhaps as well, the ambition of Fosun is to go up and to finish in the top 6, I imagine, this season. But if we were to finish 10th this season and do well in another one of the cup competitions, qualify for the group stage of the Europa League, that is a successful season. And I'd bite your hand off for that right now. We had a good season last season, and I'm sure that we're going to build on it this season. And just to point out as well, I'm not confirming any sort of signings by saying that there's going to be an announcement in China. I think it's just sort of reading between the lines of what's happened previously, what we know is going to happen. Fosun are showing off Wolves in China. They're going to make it a big spectacle. They're not going to just take over a load of under-23s and try and finish second or third or fourth in this tournament. They're going to try and do their best. We know for a fact that the second fixture in this tournament, they're going to play in their new away kit, which is black. We know that because we've seen the leaked kit. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to Thursday, where the first game will take place. I'm also looking forward to Thursday as well, because we'll know for definite who Wolves will face the following Thursday, whether it'll either be Crusaders or B36. And as well, don't forget to like the video. Every 100 likes, don't forget, gets £1 donated to the Haven charity in Wolverhampton from this video onwards. This is the first video that I will be counting it for. I announced it on Twitter the other day and on YouTube. The Haven as well have been on board sharing videos and stuff, so that's very appreciated. Thank you very much. But yeah, don't forget to drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you soon for more Wolves updates and stuff. Bye.